Hey everyone, welcome to Tuesday. You know what that means? Dolly Talk Tuesday. And we talk about things relating to the BJD hobby and all that good stuff. So strap in, because today we're talking about some interesting topics that are revolving around the BJD hobby. So there's just a couple of things, little nuggets that, I kind of grabbed from here and there. So hi Claire, Jointon, hi Webb, hi Carla, how's it going? So I kind of grabbed these from different places, but a couple of them just really piqued my interest. And if you are not a part of my newsletter, I really hope that you check it out, which would be here at bjdlife.com. And I'm going to kind of open up with those points that I put in my newsletter, because I don't know, I just really wanted to hear from people. It was fun to put it in the newsletter, but then I was like, dang, well, it kind of stinks because I can't talk to anybody about it. I kind of just threw it out there for people just to look at. So hey Henada, what's going on? I forgot if you told me that it's Henada or Genera. Sorry. That's my mind already just translating things to Spanish, sorry. But yes, if you haven't, I did 2 posts on the thing. Hey, what's up, Bean? What's up, howdy? What's up, Sam? Dude, Sam, your face-ups looked great. Oh my god, they were gorgeous. The yellow one, beautiful, beautiful. I was telling Logan, oh my gosh, I can't believe how amazing you did on it. Going on, uh-oh, I think my OBS just dropped. Am I back on? Okay. If you're not familiar with the stuff that was going on, apparently there was a little bit of a disagreement between the 2 companies, and really honestly, from what I could kind of gather, was, most of these companies really are only a group, a small group of artists, right? Ring Doll, for example, only has a couple of them, and then Coco has a few artists on their team as well. And for whatever reasons it may be, some people branch off, they do their own thing, and sometimes I feel it's successful sister companies that are born, Doll Family H and Doll Family A are Doll Zone and Doll Chateau. Those are all sister companies where basically they kind of work together, but they have artists that kind of, I guess, worked on projects together. And so yeah, I was really my interest was piqued because they had actually posted this in this group that I'm a part of, and we're talking about hey, check this out. And long story short, Coco, if you are familiar with them, they make all these cute little pet dolls, right? I think I've actually covered some of them before. And so basically, if you go to their website, they have they have it boom right there for you to check out. So they're basically saying that this other company, Kumukuku, took some of their designs. One of the artists that left and now is a part of Kumukuku took one of their designs. And I think one of them in question is this fox one, which is why you see the fox here on the main page. Am I the only one that looked into this? Am I the only one that got interested? I don't know if any of y'all saw this or not. So I don't know if anybody's up to date on this or heard anything further. But, so yeah, the wolf dolls, and so, they have, evidence, so this is them talking about how, they uploaded the Instagram post of what it looked like in this date, and they put it here, here's the 3D modeling. So, I mean, they have a lot of, evidence thrown out there that, hey, this was supposed to be, one of our dolls, and it's not cool because now when you go to Kumukuku, they have the fox doll. So I'm gonna literally take you back and forth here. So here's his little face. If you go back and forth, that's, I don't know if it's this one in particular here, if it's this one, but anywho, so yeah, that's the debate. They're just basically saying, and I mean you can read the whole post yourself, but they're saying that they're selling them illegally. Now, if you go back to Kumu, and I don't know if they have theirs here anymore, but they had a notice on their Instagram, because I noticed that Coco took down their Instagram post, which had like basically the long evidence letter stuff. And then Kumu had their own reply back. And so their reply, which is where it gets sort of muddy, is that the artist that I guess helped make this fox doll said that they were supposed to have rights to that doll. Like, they were supposed to have, like, apparently something like 60% of the rights to that doll. And, well, they were like, it's my design, because that was, I guess, a part of their design, or they helped bring it together or something like that. So they're like, I've got every right to sell it and whatnot. But then, like, you read some of the stuff from Coco, and like the story from them is like, well, they left the company, and that they were supposed to like give the design back, I guess, before they left, but then they like, I guess, essentially like ghosted them and like never came back. And then like later on, I guess, gave it back to them. So like you can see it here. However, owner took out the dolls as to work at home while in office and refused to return them for about a year. She ended up leaving in 2022, and in that time we had sent her 12 certificates of contents and asked for the return, but the only thing she said was she discarded them for the reason she didn't like them. So, I mean, I don't know, but when I read this, I was like, what's happening? Oh my God. Like, it's just crazy, because I've never seen like companies like call each other out. Like, I've never seen them call each other out. Like, I've seen companies get really upset, like, Fairyland does their notices too, like whenever like recast stuff happens. Or I don't know if you guys remember, like, back in the day when what was it? Was it like a shoe or something, or a foot? There was some weird discussion that Fairyland had too, and it's very rare. You really don't get to see a lot of the companies like talk about like this kind of stuff happening. So it was just really interesting to me. Let me catch up to y'all. Okay, so y'all are punk says, yeah, I heard about this sorta. Jay Louisa says, I follow both on Instagram, and I thought it was a recaster originally. Yeah. And Jointed is asking, is this going to be another Lutz versus Fairyland when Cerberus project split? Yeah, I don't know. Fanatia says, I try, and I fail real hard to not look at doll websites, so this is news to me, but it happens from time to time between companies. Yeah, stuff was hitting the fan, Claire, let me tell you. Nocturne says, the artist that separated from the company was a Coco's owner's ex-wife. It's a business asset ownership ordeal that's being fought over in a messy divorce, I guess. See, and like, maybe I didn't read that part about like it being somebody's wife or something, but like I remember reading somewhere in the Kumukumu's like defense was that they were supposed to have 60% of ownership or something. I don't know if it's over this particular design or if it was all of the most recent designs. So that's really interesting to hear more of that. So yeah. Jay Louisa said I was going to contact Coco till all this was posted. Oh no. And she went to start on her own company. See, but that's the thing, though. I thought Kumukuku has been in existence even before this happened. So that's, I guess, the part where I'm kind of confused about, like, because I thought Kumukuku was a thing. Unless, like, the divorce happened, then they separated and made these two different companies, the Coco and the Kumu. And then now, since the divorce, like, Kumu is now releasing this fox doll, and now, they're getting debates, are starting. Yeah, I don't know. It was just, I don't know. I just wanted to know what y'all thought about it, because it's so interesting, because, like I said, a lot of these companies are not big companies. They're real little. Like, there's not a lot of people on the team. It's not like Mattel or, like, Hasbro or, like, I don't know, whatever other big companies are out there that makes products, They're really small, so it's just really interesting. Nocturne says the 60% ownership was because of a husband/wife split. She designed all the dolls allegedly and then took them with claiming because she sculpted them and she gets to keep it. See, I'm glad. I'm really, really glad that I got to actually discuss it, because I really didn't. I mean, I put it in the newsletter, but I was like, this is just what I gathered. Like, what do y'all think? Like, but I really didn't have anywhere to, like, get to really talk to people about it. So that's really cool, because now I get to really hear more about it, because, yeah. But I don't know. What do you guys think about stuff like this? I think it's so hard to tell, though. Like, I mean, if the wife really made them, but she used to be under that company, like, I feel like there's so much stuff that they would have to sort out, like, via contract, like, that it gets real difficult, I think. You know, because if she truly was the one that made them, like, then who's not to say that she doesn't have the rights to sell it on her own, you know? But at the same time, if she's like under contract, or if there's something that's in the contract that states, like, you know, that particular design, when she was there, when it was created for Coco, you know, should belong to Coco, you know, is, I think, a bigger question. Gimme! Yeah, Jay Louisa says, it's like when Doll Zone discontinued a bunch of their sculpts because I think the artist went to Dream Valley. Yeah, see, like, there's so much stuff. Like, I wish I could learn more. Like, you know, like, I want to learn more about, like, some of these intricacies, because there's just so much stuff more than just, like, us, you know, falling in love with the companies and, like, ordering from them. There's so much other stuff that goes on, you know, that I think is just really important just to know about, especially if you're looking to support, you know, a certain company and you want to know, like, you know, what's happening in the scene. So anyway, so yeah, I don't know if you guys knew about that or if you have been reading upon it, but I don't know if there's anything else that has been released since then. But yeah, it's interesting because, yeah, they do, you know, both of these websites look very similar. And then, like, you look at the dolls and they do look super similar. So it's like, if you would have told me, like, and I kind of guess, like, sort of like somebody that mentioned it earlier saying that they thought it was a recast company, like, you could easily think that maybe it's something like that, but, you know, it's what it is. So, I guess we'll have to see what's going to happen in the next couple of days here. So, Kimi says there's probably something in there that Coco has a right to the sculpts, but the artist can take the designs and sell them in a sense, because it can be under copyright as an artist as well. Yeah, I don't know. Nocturne says they took a lot of the info down because the community members commented, frowning on airing their dirty laundry like this. Yeah. And Jointa says, Fana, I believe it was Dust of Dolls, and that Leak World had copied a body from it. I remember there was a huge deal because Leak was branded as recasters for a short time when I was first in the hobby. Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. Yeah, and you know, I mean, I can see that, how the community really could honestly just be, like, real, like, turned off to the fact that, you know, that they're doing all this publicly. But I mean, I guess it's also really frustrating for them too, like, to be going through all this stuff, and, like, you know, you want your customers, like, I guess, to know the story, or, like, to understand, I guess, a little bit of what's going on. But yeah, all that stuff, it was just like, it was a lot. Like, I was like, I don't know, you know, it's crazy. So yeah, Kimi says having proof the artist is the one who did create the design and sculpt is not just a concept, and that she owns and the company produces. Yeah, so I don't know. I didn't know about any of that wife stuff, so I'm glad I got to talk to y'all about it today. But yeah, so that was a little juicy, little first hot topic to discuss with you all. The second thing I wanted to jump into was Danny Chu. You know, just yanking her chain. That's what he does. That's what he does. He made this Instagram post, and you can see that it was a week ago. And I don't know if you've been following me, for how long you've been following me, how much I have been in love with AG. And by the time I actually started to, like, look more into the smart dolls, I mean, obviously he wasn't being sold anymore. And so since that point, you know, a long time ago, he had been promising, like, yeah, sure, we're going to work on the boy sculpts. Yeah, sure, that's going to, you know, actually, we're having some issues with the skeleton. You know, there's so many things here and there. And so it's just delay. You know, let me work on all these other projects, put the boys in the back burner. And then, lo and behold, this post comes out, like, a week ago. And so basically he's just stating that, like, you know, we're working on 3D modeling process. But this is the aesthetic direction we're taking. And it's like, what? Like, they went from having, and it just, I really hope, I'm really, really, and I don't know if any of y'all out there are like team lean or team macho, but I was team lean because I really, really liked the old body. I love slim type bodies. If I'm gonna get a chunky, like, thick boy, like, I'm gonna go to, what is that company, Granado or whatever, and get one of those vinyl dolls. Like, there's so many thick boys, you know? I just want like a lean dude, you know? A lean dude. Is that too much to ask for? Yes, anyway. I mean, you know, it's his company. He can do whatever he wants. But I've been waiting all this time for him to completely change the design. I had like a bit of a breakdown when I saw his post come out, and I was just like, I immediately posted it, like reblogged it on my story, my Instagram story, and I was like, is anybody else seeing this? Like, you know, I was just like so distraught. And I don't know if he's planning on making a lean body also, you know, or what. But I like how he was kind of like, are you team macho or team lean? And I was like, bro, you better make that lean. I did not wait this long for you to change your mind. Like, dude. What you guys are saying here. Macho. You guys like macho. Nocturne says I would want both because I have characters that suit both. Fanatiers, team lean. What's up? Nocturne says, but we do need more lean boys. Finding bodies for my boys that were leaner has been such a headache. Yeah. Jointed says he already has the vinyl molds for the more slender boys, and after watching my lady disdain for a while, I think the skeleton is virtually the same. He released the slim boys too. I hope so. I really do. And honestly, I was gonna go and look at my lady disdain because they're like the gurus for the smart doll world. But yeah, I I like popped the blood vessel when I saw this when it first came out. I was like, how dare you, Danny Chu. So I really hope that he does still come out with the lean bodies, because yeah, that just really hurts my heart. Mimiko says I want both. I love having the crew with very varied silhouettes. Clarice is not getting it. Jay Luisa says Team Macho. If I'm getting a boy, a doll, and 1/4, he will have muscles. Nice. Kimmy says, remember, Danny Chu doesn't care what his fans want unless it's just a cream. That's another whole hot topic discussion we could start, but I am not jumping in that direction. Carla says, I like the option of lean and muscular, but honestly, it's the face sculpt that really matters to me. Fanatia said he didn't modify the skeletons for the boys because I know the shoulders had issues. Yeah. 90% of my characters are slim. I need slim bodies. Genera, right? I didn't even scroll back up to see if you corrected my pronunciation for your name. I'm so sorry. Drenta says the audacity. Yeah, it's like speaking to me. Oh yeah. So Claire, a long time, just to catch up, I'm not sure if you're saying not getting it because you're not understanding the dilemma of what everyone's talking about right now. But really, honestly, is Danny Chu, like, he's famous for making these, like, vinyl dolls, and he primarily makes a lot of female dolls, and they're beautiful, gorgeous, love them, cute, super adorable. And at one point, very little point, like, this was early on, like, he made a line of boys, and then he stopped. And then a lot of people, I guess, you know, like how Fanatier is saying, you know, I think he stopped mainly because there was a lot of problems with the body. And so he had promised us that he would make the boys again eventually. And then at one point he was like, well, the boys don't really sell as much. And I was like, really, dude? And so now, years upon years upon years afterwards, now we're here now. To where now he's like, I'm totally changing the design. So that's why a lot of people are like, what? What are you doing? You know, so give or take, you know, I don't know. Again, I'll be appreciative of whatever he does. I'll see what he does, you know, because in reality, you know, there's a lot of dolls coming out. Let's be real. There's a lot of dolls coming out. You know, there's a couple of smaller artists that are out there that are creating, you know, their own dolls, and we have a lot of boy variation there. And then we have a lot of other, like, actual doll companies, like the bigger doll companies that are making more and more and more. So, you know, there was a time where there was not a lot of anime boys out in the market, but now there's a lot of companies that are starting to jump that boat. You know, they're trying to get onto that trend. So yes, Jointed brings up a great point. Jointed says Imomo's new SD body is looking fun. Yeah, that's where I'm looking. And it's funny because, like, now I have options. So it's like a little too late, you know? Because if he had released this like years ago, I probably would have jumped on a smart doll just automatically, you know. But now, because a lot of people have seen, you know, a lot of companies and other artists have seen there hasn't been like a lot of those, there's a lot more people that are making them. So like Imomo doll, like Jointed Designs had mentioned, is a fabulous option. It's basically like an ABS, if you want to imagine it, kind of not exactly like the Hujo dolls, but I guess kind of sort of. But it's not resin. They're not made out of resin, and it's stupid cheap, like stupid cheap. And it's a 75 centimeter doll that they are coming out with, and I think people have already started getting their dolls. 75 centimeters, you have to buy the head separately, but it literally comes out to like $214 or $212 or something for the head and the body. $200 for a 75 centimeter doll. Are you kidding me? Like, that's insane. So it's like, well, Danny Chu, like, you kind of took too long, my dude. Like, there's so many other places now that people can look to. And not to mention, like, if you look in a lot of the BJD, like, companies out there, like, a lot of them have anime head sculpts now. So, you know, it's become very competitive and, like, really interesting to see. So, yeah. That's all I'm saying. You know, Mimika says Imomo is trying to become my new favorite company. For reals, yeah. Jointed says Imomo is stupid cheap for all their dolls. Vinyl shell, an ABS, PVC frame, and several sizes and skin tones. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Ah, there you go. Well, since you asked, it's technically pronounced like general or generous. Genera. So I got you, genera. Thank you, my love. He's getting me water because I'm like, okay. Genera. Thank you so much. Thank you. Yeah, I'm excited. I'm so excited. So anyway, that was just one of the things. That was discussion point number 2. I mean, I don't know where you were at on it. Like, I don't know if you're excited, but I feel like my excitement's kind of died. So, which is kind of sad, because I was really, really excited for it, and then he made this announcement, and I was like, oh, okay, all right. I guess you're going that way. It's cool, you know. Power to you, my dude. It's what you want to do. It's your company. Yeah. All right. Jumping on to our next hot topic discussion of this afternoon or evening. Actually, was from our BJD Addicts Group, which, by the way, if you have not joined our BJD Addicts Group, this is our group on Facebook. I founded it like a bajillion years ago, and I'm just impressed, honestly. We're already here at 17,000 members. Super duper, just amazed. I'm happy. I'm really always excited to see the community so active on this page. So I'm really, really, you know, it always just makes me so happy to see that people are, you know, still using it and stuff. And we have this one. We have a sales page. We have a want to buy page. We have a community alert page as well. And I'm contemplating making another one, but I think I'm going to be too crazy if I do that, so I don't want to do that. But anyway, someone had posed a great question. This was back at the beginning of July. Sorry, I had to take a water break. Back at the beginning of July, and it really made me think. And so this person asked here on Facebook, it might be too small for you guys to see there, because I don't know if the screen is there or not, but it says, am I the only one that has this impression that our hobby is dying? So many collectors left the hobby. New dolls and their pre-orders are canceled, and there is nobody to talk about it anymore. I wish this hobby will be alive again. Yo, that like real hit me. Like, it really hit me. This discussion really hit me. And as you can see, it really reached a lot of people. Over 3,000 people were checking out this post. And it has over 100, almost basically 200 comments. And it's really interesting because sometimes I feel like that too. Like, sometimes it makes me sad, but people have their reasons. It makes me sad, when I see like the sales page and someone's like leaving the hobby and, they're selling like $20, but again, it's a very interesting topic to discuss and to see people's thoughts on, because it's different, it's definitely different from what I feel like it was back in the day when I first joined, like in 2009 or 2010. And, I would love if you guys want to, in chat, kind of throw out your thoughts on it. But I mean, for sure, I think a lot of people's main points was economics. A lot of people were talking about the fact that it's not a cheap hobby. Although now we are seeing a lot more affordable options, but even back in the day, it wasn't really, there's still a lot of dolls that are just quite up there, in price. So it's really a luxury for most people. And so, I mean, as times get hard, in our economy, people just don't have time or money or anything like that to put into BJDs. So I think that was everyone's main thing, was that, a lot of people were facing financial difficulties. So, I mean, I guess that's one reassurance for people that are looking to join the hobby, is that you can definitely sell your dolls and get a good amount back from them, so it's not like you invested in this and it's going to be really hard for you to sell things. So, I mean, I think a lot of people were talking about stuff like that. And then as far as the pre-orders go, there was a lot of interesting people's opinions and thoughts on that. I think a lot of people sometimes are real quick to be... I don't want to say it's not the word. It's not... I don't know what the word... I'm trying to think of a nice way to say it. Like, not offended, but like people would be very shocked sometimes with some pre-orders and their prices. I think that's one of the things I was reading with some of the people's comments regarding the pre-order part of that question, was that, sometimes a lot of these pre-orders from people that, don't have reps for making dolls, as much as like you buying it off of Doll Family or you buying it off of Resin Soul, they don't have that kind of, not like presence, when you buy a Doll Family doll, you know what you're gonna get. When you buy a Resin Soul doll, you know what's gonna happen, and it's a trusted company that's been around for a long time. But a lot of these newer artists that are coming out that make their dolls and then automatically charge, a set price, like I've seen some that are like $800. It's kind of hard for people to get behind, and I think a lot of, stuff goes back and forth. Well, it's a creative art, it's an art piece, the artist should be able to charge what they want to charge for it. It's really hard for people to, do all of that stuff by themselves. So, you have to think of those costs that are being put in together, because, a lot of these independent artists don't have a team. Like, Doll Family has a team. There's a lot of stuff, So I think a lot of people are not as on the boat for some pre-orders sometimes because of that reason. And so we do see a lot of the pre-orders kind of fall through or, just die. I think the other reason why too is that there was a point, and I feel like we're still in it, but there was a time where I feel like everybody was making dolls. And I still feel like there's a lot of artists that are coming out of the woodworks and just making dolls and selling them. And it's kind of hard to see that when there's so many other things happening in the hobby that they kind of get pushed to the side. So they're not getting really like attention to showcase their pre-orders or showcase their dolls that are being made. And I think that's also another reason why a lot of the pre-orders die, you know, because they don't get the publicity like when Fairyland comes out with a new doll and everyone's like, oh yeah, a new doll from Fairyland, you know. They don't see these other small-time artists that do their pre-orders. I'm going to catch up with y'all here in just a second. Oh my god. Oh my god. Jointed says, it doesn't help that platforms like Instagram are limiting how you find new creators, and no one really can meet people. Tumblr died years ago too, so did Flickr and DOA a bit also. Vianatia says, I don't know. I feel like rather than dying, I think a lot of people my age have matured and had to deal with adult life. I'm much quieter, but still there. But maybe the social media buzz has died a bit. And Jointed agrees. Nocturne says, I commented on this in the original post. It's all economics. Plus, the algorithms on Instagram and other socials make things hard to advertise. Nocturne says a lot of people don't have the ability to drop money on a surprise pre-order. They're saving up 6+ months ahead of time for a specific wish list doll. Limited releases are tough now. Anglerfish says, in my opinion, the rise in accessible independent Chinese artists and blind boxes have brought a new wave of enthusiasm. Okay, so you think it's definitely, it's kind of hyping up. Kimi says, I don't think it's dying, it's just an age gap too. We're all just older and not a lot of fresher, newer people joining in. Vanity says, I've sold some, but I'm still too attached. Claire says, I ain't selling my dolls. Nope, no way. Rosen, hey, what's going on? Reporting from the house's kitchen. Cool. Good luck with your dishes. Kitty says, I think that one of the problems with canceled artist pre-orders is simple fact that it is a pre-order. Yeah. Vanity says, one thing I love seeing is more independent artists making their own BJDs. Often the cost is higher because sending it off to a caster, but I love seeing the creativity. Katie says, in order for the artist to create their doll, they need to meet a certain threshold. In contrast, big companies can cast their dolls as they are ordered. Yeah. Kitty says, it's hard to find 10+ people to buy an expensive doll on pre-order within the span of a couple of weeks. Yeah. J. Louisa says, there are a lot of new and unique sculpts that anyone can get in. Some of the pre-orders are just one person doing it on their own, and so the price is a little higher, but it's sometimes worth it. And J. Louisa said they just put in a deposit on their first artist sculpt. It's a Kelpie doll by one lady and her husband. And then Anglerfish agrees with the Instagram terrible tags and, you know, how it's hurt many pre-orders. And then going back to Jointed, says a lot of the new artists aren't on DOA, which was a hub for pre-orders and such, so they rely on Instagram for traffic, which is killing so many small artists' ability to find customers. So yeah, it seems like you guys agree with a lot of the stuff that was being discussed in this thread, this discussion that's there on BJD Addicts. But yeah, I think it's a combination of a lot of those different things. Personally, I don't think that the hobby is dying. I do feel like sometimes it does slow down, because even and I agree with a lot of you guys that say things about the age gap or the people growing older, you know, because, you know, I don't see, there's some new, because every now and then I'll search BJD videos or whatever on YouTube, and every now and then I'll see some different things here and there, but it's a lot of people that are into the other branches of dolls. They're dipping their toes into BJDs. Or unfortunately, it's a lot of the people that are into the other dolls and they're dipping their toes into AliExpress dolls. So it's kind of a lot of just weirdness going on in the social media side of things. So it's real tough. But I really do feel like it's really tough for people that are doing pre-orders to get the word out, because, you know, especially with Instagram and how they, I think they just recently even changed something else with their posts, how you can post stuff. So There's a lot of stuff going on. But that's why I'm really hoping, I mean, not to like self promo here, but like, that's why I'm really hoping that like, and I've been posting it like on BJD Addicts and the sales page and stuff, and I just messaged somebody, the BJD awareness group. I really was hoping to see a lot of people take off on, wanting to get, like, it's free promotion, like, to just fill out my form, and if they have a shop or a pre-order or something going on, then I'll throw it in the newsletter, and that's a guaranteed set amount of people that will see it. I mean, I ain't trying to, like, boast or anything. I just literally just started out on this newsletter just this past month, but we're already reaching, I mean, it may not seem like a lot, but, like, really at the end of the day, okay, it's not too bad. Like, we're reaching, like, 100 already subscribers to the newsletter. So that's 100 people that are looking to create pre-orders and stuff, that's already delivered to their mailbox, So that's why I was really, like, surprised when I threw out that form. Like, I thought more people would jump on it, but literally I've only had, like, 14 responses. 14 responses. So if you know somebody that is trying to do a pre-order, if you know somebody that is trying to sell something or has a shop or does anything with BJD stuff, even if they're like real, trying to jump into BJD YouTube or TikTok or whatever, like tell them to fill out my form. You can do it on www.bjdlife.com. And it was really, honestly, like that's why I wanted to create this newsletter, was that I just wanted it to be another resource for people to have, and I really wanted to be able to do something with the community, because I might not be, going back, rewind, sorry, I'm kind of going off on tangent, but going back on like whether the hobby is dying or whatever, and people talking about it being an age thing, I think for a lot of us it might be that, because I don't have the time I used to have. I used to be able to throw out like 2 to 3 videos like in a week. Like I would just boom, like video, like on YouTube, just like making content all the time. And now, that I'm older, I got married, I have a kid that's about to start kindergarten. Like, I don't have the time. Like, I would love to, like, I would absolutely love to just sit there and do nothing but YouTube videos, Instagram, TikTok, like just make my whole world BJDs, like how I did when I was in college, when I first started my YouTube channel. I would love to do that, but I really honestly don't have the time. And when I do have extra time now, it's like, well, I want to be with my kid, or I want to go do something with my family, or, I want to play a game, like there's different things, that we have that we want to do. So I don't feel like it's dying. I just don't think people have like the time to be as active anymore. So I don't know, at least that's what it is for me. That's what it is for me. So I really am though, like, and that's why I was like, I even told myself, I was like, it's gonna be different. This summer, it's gonna be different. I'm gonna like do stuff. But I really have, I guess, found a different creative outlet for me to explore by doing the newsletter, by doing my website, my blog, because that's something easy that I can do in between and during my free time, and also like, sit with Marcy and do something and type up a quick article, or, make the newsletter, for the end of the week, contact somebody, it's something easy for me to do. Editing a video takes so much more time now. Like, I think I literally just released the first video of that science series I was doing about non-toxic sealants, and it took me like almost like, I'm not even joking with you, like almost 2 hours to make that video, that 20-minute video. It was insane. I was like, dang, I feel like I used to be so much faster at this, but it's different, and it's not bad. It's definitely not bad, but it's just funny because it's different. So I think people kind of think that it's dying, but it's just, things are different. So yeah. Let's see. Claire says August 3rd is 1 year since I got my first doll, and it's Anita, a Buchanan. Cool, congrats. You're almost there at your anniversary. Two more days. Fanny says they got rid of that recent tab, so like searching for doll sales is a nightmare now. Yeah, I heard about that. That's horrible. Yeah. Fanatia says, I have a shop, but I went back to teaching. Yeah. So my time to run it is gone. Yeah. Jointed says, exactly. Jobs, families, life. People in the hobby now have been here a while, and we got other stuff we want to do instead of dolls all the time. Yeah, you know. Y'all are punks too. I see a lot of young people discovering BJDs on TikTok, but it tends to be the AliExpress stuff they're saying. Yeah, I know, dude. Like, there's so many times where I've made, like, a TikTok, and then, like, I will get, like, comments and stuff, and so many of them are like, oh, yeah, I just started BJDs. I got mine off of AliExpress. They're really cheap. And I'm like, no. Please don't. Stay away from that light. Anglerfishy says, so I attended a meet in California with Project BJD. The organizer has connection to Korean BJD companies, and she mentioned she was excited to see young blood at the meet, and that in southern states it's mostly older collectors. Huh. Yeah. Claire, it is, yeah, AliExpress is just basically recast land. Like, I wouldn't ever purchase a doll from AliExpress. That's a definite no for me. Yeah. Jay Levisa says, I think there are more collectors in bigger cities like Texas and California. Yeah. But I mean, I really don't feel like it's dying. I just don't think a lot of people are as active as we used to be, you know. And again, it's not like I don't love my dolls. It's not like I don't enjoy playing with them or being around them. If anything, it's been really nice because, like, my daughter comes in here and she, you know, really likes to be with my dolls and stuff. So that's something fun we do together. But I mean, it's never crossed my mind yet to be like, you know what? The time has come. I'm going to leave. Like, I don't really foresee myself getting rid of them, really. Like, they're kind of just here. And honestly, at the end of the day, I mean, that's why I really like to collect them. I just like how they look, the aesthetic, you know, appearance of them, you know, my shelf eye candy, you know, that's what they're there for. So they're doing their job, and I really love having them there. I think, like, when I was younger, I was really dead set on, like, buying new things for them all the time, and now it's kind of just like, well, I like how they look, and they kind of just chill there, you know, so I don't change them up too much or get too many new things, but definitely when I go to, like, meetups or other things and I see other people with their dolls and stuff, it kind of energizes me. It makes me really feel more connected again with the community and stuff when I see other people in person. I think that's another thing, too, is that not a lot of people see each other, like, face-to-face as much anymore. But luckily, our community is really good. They meet pretty much every month. They're really, really nice. And then, I don't know who out here is in Oregon, but, I mean, they're going to be doing Resin Rose out there, too. Resin Rose is a doll convention that's out there. It's pretty big. They have a lot of people going there. And that should be a lot of fun also. I think it's, like, August 11th or something. So, yeah. I think, you know, if you feel like you're kind of, like, phasing out of it, you know, just find something that you enjoy to do. You know, maybe try doing photography, maybe try shooting video, a TikTok, an Instagram, you know, do something like that and, you know, see how you feel. But yeah, I think that's really honestly what it is. Doll Desert, that is Vegas. What? Wait, do you mean that there's a convention called Doll Desert, or it's a desert for doll collectors in Vegas? What do you mean? I haven't heard of that one. Yeah, there's a decent doll community here in Toronto. Yeah, you guys have Doll North up there. I would love to go to that one day, too. It's kind of cool. Anglerfishy says, sometimes I feel like people are active, but it's all documented on Instagram stories that go away after 24 hours. Yeah. Panatia says, yeah, I left my doll group because drama. So the stream is my biggest socialization in the hobby. Aw. Y'all are punks. I hope we get a doll con here in Northeast soon. Where's Northeast? Over there. You're on that side, like Virginia on that side over there? No, it's dry and empty and barren here. No one is here. Sorry. I was like, there's a new convention? What is that called? Can you imagine, though, What a dope convention name, the Doll Desert. Like, that's, I don't know, it's kind of cool, like mysterious sounding. It sounds like Jointed, you need to start a convention over there, and we will all go to Vegas and meet up for Doll Desert Con. That sounds great, actually. You know, Doll North is very cool. I know the girl who runs it. Cool. New York. Yeah, is there a group in New York? I feel like California has a large amount of people too. Like, is the Volk store there still? Like, I don't even know. I haven't caught up or kept up to date with that stuff. I have no idea. Anyway, that was that discussion topic. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any, and if you're watching this like afterwards, I hope you kind of shared your thoughts for some of these things because they were just interesting things that I saw that I thought were kind of cool. One of the ones that I wanted to talk about was this. So I took this differently. Okay, this is on Den of Angels, which, by the way, if you don't know what Den of Angels is because you're new, you might not know anything about Den of Angels. It's kind of like the old school, like, hub. You know, when you didn't know anything about anything, you went to Den of Angels. And it was very exclusive. It was like a super duper exclusive club that you had to do so many loops and whistles and bells for. I don't know what it is nowadays. I don't know if you can just join now or if you still need to be vouched in or what. But it's a really good source for information and things like that. And they have general discussion pages and discussions on specific dolls. And I mean, it's great. Everything's organized to a T on this site. So it's really nice. But anyway, somebody had talked about company loyalty, and that kind of made me think, and I wanted to know what you guys' thoughts were on this, was I know back in the day, okay, like we're talking 2009, 2010, like early on, there was a lot of rifts in the BJD community because of company loyalty, or people would go as far as calling people out as elitists. And I think it kind of was brought up in maybe one of my TikTok videos or something or somewhere. It just recently popped into my mind. And that's why I wanted to discuss it today. But do you think it still exists? I think people can be definitely loyal to a company, but do you think the elitism still exists? Thoughts? Thoughts on this? Because back in the day, you know, people were really loyal to like Volks and stuff, and so like people that owned Volk dolls were like seen on this pedestal, like, you know, they were just like, wow, you're OG. You know, it was like a different feeling sometimes, and I think some people felt excluded at times when they went to meetups and stuff because like if you had, you know, resin soul dolls or something, and like everybody else had like high-end like Lutz dolls or like, you know, Fairyland dolls, and you came in with your resin soul, they were like, excuse me? Like, you know, they were like looking at you like weird. I don't know if that exists. I was just wondering if you guys feel like it still exists. I'm gonna see what you guys say. Oh, Anglerfish says Volk store is no longer in California. You can pick up in person though. Dang, that stinks. I thought it was still a thing. Boo. Jenna says, I need to find a group or something in the Atlantic area open to starting one. You should, definitely. So, we got someone that responded to my question. Nocturne says, I think it is much less prevalent, but it's still there if you look hard enough. Fanatia says, I think sometimes people can be a bit annoying, biased about a company, and you're always going to have those that think they're better than others, but I think people stopped caring as much. Yeah. You know. Jointa says, I see some of it with my shop because I don't own a mini fee or so for them. I get a few messages from people asking when I'm going to improve my shop and get one, which comes off snotty to me. Ew, why do they say that to you? Hey, you need to improve your shop and, like, get some mini fee designs. That's messed up, bro. Like, who the heck says that? Like, who cares? Like, that's, if you're making only for, you know, smart dolls, or whatever dolls you make for, like, whatever sizes you make for, like, bruh. What? Fanatier says, admittedly, I'm still a bit tired of Fairyland dolls being hyped up to me, but, like, I own Fairyland dolls, so, you know. That's okay, Claire. You're free to just chime in, whatever you want to chime in. Y'all are Punk says, I feel like the elitism is too strong of a word, but I think people can have snobby moments. Jay Louisa says, need to find collectors in Miami, but I think the sun scares everyone. Sun scares me. Sun scares me too. I am not outside. At this time, I am not outside unless I'm at the beach or a pool. You will not catch me outside. Johnson says, I went with a doll leaves in the beginning because I couldn't find clothes for them anywhere. No. Yeah. So it seems like the consensus for you guys so far is just like, you know, I feel like that's kind of how it is now, because when you go to doll meets, I guess it maybe depends on your group too, but like, especially like when I've gone to like the doll meets for our local area, I never feel like that, like ever. Everyone brings in so many different dolls and stuff, like they bring in like whatever dolls, you know, and it's just exciting, you know. It's exciting to see other people that share like a common interest with you, you know. So I don't think anybody really cares about like, you know, oh, that's a resin doll, like, you know, no one really cares about that stuff really. I don't think it's anywhere near as what it used to be back in the day, and I do say elitism because people would use that word. They would be like, oh, you're just an elitist, like, you know, they would say that to people. You know, it's kind of, and it is, it's kind of a very, like, mean thing to say, especially, like, if they didn't start anything. Granted, there were some people that were, like, you know, kind of snobby about it and stuff, so maybe, you know, people accusing them of being elite or whatever might have fit that category, but at the end of the day, I don't think it's a thing that really exists anymore. I think people do still have company loyalty. Like, people definitely flock to a company and enjoy it a lot, and you know, once you find something that you trust, that you love, that you really like, you know, you're going to continue buying it. You know, that goes with pretty much anything. You know, people that like certain kinds of brands of cars, or people that like certain clothing brands. You know, you gain kind of like a loyalty because you trust it. You know, it's something that you like. So I think it still definitely exists. People do like tend to flock to one thing or another sometimes. But I don't think it's anything bad anymore. Like, it used to be, I feel like sometimes it did kind of lean more towards, like, you know, people just being like, look at me, you know. I have 20 Dolphy dreams. It's not like that anymore. I don't think so. So, yeah. Rosen says, I still love my MU. Yes. The MUs are so good. I love them. They're beautiful. Fanatier says, Resin Soul got so hard, and honestly, their head sculpts aren't usually for me, but their bodies are pretty, and they're affordable, and their customer service is great. Yeah, I mean, it's comme si, comme ça, you know? Whatever people, you know, what floats their boat, you know, it's just, they can do whatever. It's fine. Oh my gosh. So, that is that. If you guys have anything else you'd like to chime in, feel free to chime in. I'm going to end it. I had 2 more discussion points, but I'm going to go ahead and end it with this last one. It also came from Den of Angels, and they basically stated, like, the discussion point was how much is too much for a BJD. And I think this was a good discussion point for us to kind of, I guess, end this with, because we talked about, you know, earlier about why some people don't jump on the pre-order train and stuff as quickly as they used to. So, I mean, what are your thoughts on that? I feel like there's been a lot of dolls that have been coming out, whether they're from company or they're from small artists that are doing pre-orders and stuff. How much is too much in your eyes? I think this would be a good thing to kind of end it with, because I think that plays a lot into people sometimes when they look at these pre-orders, because you see somebody that is brand new and they're like fresh and they're a young artist and, you know, they're ready to make their first doll, and then it's like, bam, it's gonna be $600 for a 1/4 scale size doll. I'm not trying to call anybody out. I'm not trying to start beef with anybody. I'm just giving an example, okay? So people see that and they're like, no one has ever purchased from this person before. We don't know the quality of what it's going to be like. We don't know how it's going to move or how it will be in real life. I've only seen images of it. And then you take it to a company that has been around for a while, throw out Doll Family, okay? Doll Family, 1/4 scale, and you can, boom, get a mid-sized doll for like $300. Half the price of that pre-order doll. So I think this is where a lot of people's decisions start swaying, especially for some of these pre-orders. And I think we need to ask ourselves, like, how much is too much for a BJD? What do people think of that? But also, how do you put a price on someone's artistic talent? Like, it's such a fine line. Like, you can't tell somebody that has poured their heart and soul, blood, sweat, and tears sometimes into making, a doll, and tell them, no, you shouldn't be charging that much. That's too much. You shouldn't be charging that much. It's kind of hard to say something like that to somebody. So I just want to know what y'all's thoughts are on that. And leave that there like that. You guys are opinionative on this. Y'all are Punk says, never too much. Anything for my ladies. Jointed says, this one is a matter of perspective, because if you can afford it without hurting your life, it's a personal choice. Jay Louisa says, I really wanted a resin soul doll after Kitty Blue's recent review. The colors, yeah. Resin says, oh, hey, has anyone heard of a company called Daydream World? That's a good question. I don't know. Jenna says, a house payment. If it's the same as my mortgage, probably too much. Never loved a doll that much. Yeah. Nocturne says, when I first started the hobby, I thought $400 to $500 was way too much. I thought it was crazy. And now I don't bat an eye spending $1,000 plus. It all depends on how much I fall for the doll. Jay Louisa says, I know the recent Fairyland limit was 1,000. It was beautiful, but way out of my budget. Wow. It was past $1,000. I haven't looked at companies recently. Anglerfish says, love YB doll, but the price almost scared me away. Nocturne says, but it helps that my business funds my hobby purchases. Without my business, it would be way different, I'm sure. Fanatia says, 800 to 1,000 is usually too rich for my blood, but admittedly, I have done a secondhand layaway for a damaged limited Dolphy Dream that I damaged further. R.I.P. But I think it boils down to preference. Jenna says, most I've ever spent on a single doll is like $400. It was for a blank doll chateau. Yeah. Fanatia says it's hard because it brings up the question of, do we base price by how many hours or by realistic consumer response? It depends on how much the artist wants to screw themselves. Yeah, it's so sad. Like, that's the saddest part, right? Like, that's the crummy part about it. It's like, you worked so hard to do this, and then it's like, you can't ask, like, for something, and it's like, almost like, oh, God forbid you make a profit off of it. Like, it's so hard. Like, my heart goes out to them, because it's like, it's hard to be in that market, like, especially when you have other companies that have been around for such a long time, and that have now made dolls, I want to really say, quite affordable. Like, the market now is just insane to me. Like, I still can't, I'll say it again, I can't get over Momo doll. Like, that is stupid cheap. So, I mean, it's hard to compete. If the artist feels, this is from the Pumpkin Patch, if the artist feels that that's what the value is, then it is. I'll find the demographic it's for. It'll find the demographic it's for. I see what you're saying. Anglerfish says, to be honest, I'm more willing to spend after I get my tax returned. Yeah. Jointed says, going back, Jointed says that my most expensive is only $450, so I don't know what I'd go much above $500 though. Where was I? Pumpkin, going back to Pumpkin said, I might be the only one who thinks there's not a price that's too much. When someone makes something, charge whatever. Seriously. I may not buy it, but it doesn't mean it's a bad price. Yeah. Yeah. Big mood on that tax return. Yeah. Yeah, and I think that's the other tough part. And you guys have brought it up just beautifully. Like, it's tough. You know, like, because some of these pre-orders are like, hey, I made this really cool doll. Like, I made it. It's super cool. Look at it. It's awesome. But you need to order it only, like, within this time frame. Like, I'm only having pre-orders, like, to the end of this month. Like, it's hard for people to be like, oh, yeah, and then be like, yeah, where do I get the money from? You know, it's a very tough thing to do. And it's really tough for people that, like, try to, I guess, make them like in advance and then sell it afterwards. I mean, that's why a lot of our companies don't do that. Like, it's like, you know, you buy it and it's like made to order type situation. They're not really mass produced. So, I mean, when people do these pre-orders, it's really like, you know, they have to get a feel for it. Like, they're going to really see like how it's going to do. And I mean, I really do feel for them. I feel for the ones that fall through, you know, that they're just so excited to start and to share this amazing thing that they've worked so hard on, for it only to get hardly any attention. And then, you know, they get discouraged and then they have to drop, you know. So it's tough. Like, price has always been the tough thing about this hobby, I think. And I think it's, at the end of the day, like, people really have to think about, like, their finances and think about what's best for them at that time. And if it's something that people can't afford, you know, they are definitely not going to buy it. You know, it's real tough. You know, it's really tough for people to be able to drop. You know, it's not such a casual hobby, like, you know, if you were, and this might be a bad example, but, like, you know, if you were doing, like, Pokemon cards and you want to go out and buy, like, a booster pack, like, I don't even know how much they run for, like, let's say they're $10, okay? Like, $10 for a booster pack, you know? People can easily jump out and do, like, yeah, $10, you know? But when it comes to something like this, like to a doll, how much is too much? You know, people really have to look at that sometimes. And I think that's why you see a lot of fluctuation with people, like, coming and going. So, yeah. So, but I feel for you artists. My heart goes out to them. Fantia says, honestly, I respect artists so much, and I'm happy to fork out $400 for a mature 1/6 doll because I want to support them, even if MU has them cheaper. I chaotically own both. That's what it is. That's what it is. Yeah, anyway. Yeah, so I didn't get to discuss, like, 2 of the discussion points that I wanted to talk about today, but maybe that's something we'll go ahead and talk about for next week. But, yeah. In the meantime, I really hope that you guys had fun today talking about these really different, diverse topics that have been kind of circulating within the hobby and stuff. And, again, if you haven't checked out my newsletter or my website, feel free to do that and spread the good word if you do know somebody that is trying to jump out there and do sales of whatever kind and whatnot. So that's what it is. I hope you guys have a dolly-tastic day, and I will see you guys in another video soon. I'm trying to work on the next part, which is removing the sponge on sealant, and then I'm going to work on the next parts and stuff. There's just so much I have to work on, so that's what I'm doing. So, anywho's, have a fantastic night, and stay safe, and yeah, dolly-tastic day. Okay, guys, I got to look for this closing thing because I'm not cool like I thought I was, and I can't click on the closing tab. There it is. Okay. Okay, bye. Bye, everyone. Bye. Have a good one. Bye. Bye.